here we are. It's Easter Saturday. So this is a bit of a different run for me because I tend to head north. And this is the A82. I'm south of Fort William. And I'm inspired by books. The Inspector Daily books. I'll put a reference below. I really enjoy them, but they all take place around Kintyre, or in the fictional town of Kintyre, which in real life is Campbelltown. And I doubt I'm going to get all the way down there because it's quite a way and it's now 20 past 11. And in some ways this is a bit of an old stomping ground, you could say. Riding down here, the 82, down to Tyndrum and Glencoe, around there. But we're going to go slightly different on a road I've wanted to ride, well, really since we first moved up here, which is down to Oban. And then south from Oban, and see where that leads us. I'm out for the day. And my wife's idea. She said to me, why don't you have a day out on the bike? We had a lovely day out yesterday. Went up to Kylesku again and had a fantastic, very expensive lunch. £150 lunch. Wine at, I think she said £16 a glass. But it is in the middle of nowhere, this hotel, and the food is outstanding. It really is. I can't recommend it highly enough. And I imagine they have to pay a few people quite a lot to go out up there to work. Hence it's expensive, but as a go a couple of times a year, bit of a blowout, God, lovely. And in fact this was a wedding present because we got married on the 3rd of February, having had 5 years together. And the team that worked for me did a bit of an investigation to work out a wedding present, and they then got us a voucher to go to Kylesku, because in the course of that investigation found out it's my favourite place, and it is my favourite restaurant for the views, for the food, and also for the journey there and back. It's about a 90-mile trip for us, which is 2.5 hours, but it's beautiful. And we did a walk before lunch, and then we did a walk after lunch. So they were both 4 to 5k walks. Gave the doggies a good walk before we made them sit down for a couple of hours while we enjoyed ourselves. So we're coming up now so we are heading south on the A82, so in the direction from Fort William towards Glasgow. Be a road that many of you will have ridden, and if you haven't, you should. We're coming up to the Ballahoolish Bridge. When we go over that, we're going to turn right and head for Oban. So thank you to my team for that fabulous day out. And my doggies they're having a quieter day today with my wife. Short walk just to take the edge off, but with 2 long walks yesterday, that's enough for them. Certainly for my collie, Isla, who's only 8 months old. And as we discovered this morning, she is having her first season, which is we've been waiting for, and that will mean then we will have her taken to the vet to do the op to make sure there are no little Islas for us to deal with. Not only do I not want to breed, but I have no competence for breeding, and I don't have the patience for pups and people. So it's what a day. Yesterday was just as good. I'm a bit dressed for the cold. So I'm quite warm now. I've got my World War II style bomber jacket, which I bought from Gold Top in February. It's had a couple of ride outs now. I didn't need to wear it today, but I love it so much, and it's soon going to be too warm to wear it. The sun is very bright. And I have my sun visor down and my tinted screen on my bike, which is making it nicely bearable. A lot of bikes out today. Unsurprisingly, Easter break. And on this road, a lot of people coming up for their possibly annual bike trip. Of course, I can do this when I want. I don't know if this is actually called the Ballahoolish Bridge. It does remind me of bridges in the US. If anyone's ridden in the US, get a lot of bridges like this. But I call it the Ballahoolish Bridge because we're coming into a place called Ballahoolish. After Ballahoolish is Glencoe. We're turning off here to go to Oban on the A828. I will put my route up when I post the video. Of course, Saturday is a bit of a changeover day for the tourists. Our cottage is full. They came yesterday. In fact, we've been full since the beginning of March, and we're full right down to the end of September. And we have a second property coming on Airbnb, which is part of our house, called Clooney Annex. And that is also beginning to fill up. That's only available from June. If you want a hotel with a view, this is it. One of the things I said in my last little video I posted, I think Sunday, was that as good as the 500 is, it often takes people away from these routes. And while these routes during touristy times are always busy, because it's still holiday area, when I have driven down here, because this is the first time I've brought my bike down here, I haven't seen as many bikes as I would see, say, around the 500. And And in many ways, I think this is better, this area. It's really hard to say. Scotland and the Highlands is one of the beauty spots of the world. So it's still west coast, just a bit further south. But it's not on the 500, or it doesn't have a fancy route name. Well, you can see from the film, so far today I've done 83 miles, and I'm still sort of on my outward leg. I aim to do around the 300 mark today, which will require me to fill up with fuel. So my range at the moment is 124 miles with 84 done, which gives me a range of about 210. I know when I get the second half of the tank that will go up, so I'm probably looking at a range of around 220, 230, which is fine for me. And I suppose on this little ride out, it is a chance to talk about the Goldwing a little bit more. I've done my slightly tongue-in-cheek comparison video of the Goldwing to the RT. And lots of people have said, it's not fair, it's not a fair comparison. Well, I've owned them both, so to me it is a comparison, because I chose one over the other. And it's funny the amount of people who say, it's not fair. You then go and say, I'm selling my Goldwing to get an RT, or I'm selling my RT to get a Goldwing. So, keyboard warriors, eh? Anyway. I've always said the Goldwing is a really good fun bike, and I have to tell you, the first 83 miles I've done today have proven it to be. I have ridden a few times over the winter, not a lot, probably covered about 600 miles. Maybe not even that much. When I do go out, I tend to do 150, 160 miles. So it doesn't take many of those before you do build up. So we have now passed 4,000 miles. I'm about 4,100, which I would have passed last week when I was out. And it's 4,000 miles of joy. With one caveat, which is at the moment, I can't get Android Auto to work. It doesn't seem to like my new phone. Now I do have a Samsung phone which I tend to use as a dedicated phone. I never had a problem with that. I've had Samsungs for a while, but I've just switched to a Pixel, Google Pixel. It doesn't like it, whether it's the wire or the phone, I don't know. I'm going to have to do. But Tuesday, I'm going down to Edinburgh to have a recall done on it. So I'll put the other phone in and just see if that's going to do anything. Could be the wire, as that was the problem last time. Not having Android Auto working isn't really a big problem, because the sat-nav is excellent. Let's get past this guy before we cut down to 40. I have an iPod fitted which the music comes through, connects to my headset. So all the way down here, before I started filming, I had music. Lovely. I'd like Android Auto to work, because then I can have things like audiobooks. When I could put them on my iPod, but it's a faff. My iPod just sits and lives in the pannier. So, and of course there is the issue that you do have to have a headset connected to get Android Auto, and I still don't understand the logic behind that. I just don't. Two people there and a dog sat on a bench. It makes no sense. A few bikes down here, but nothing like the volume on the 82. And I suspect the bikes I see down here are locals. Sat-nav is good, rides and handles really well. Real strength is actually riding slow, and if you're going to come down here, as I know, you do spend quite a bit of time behind slow vehicles, which is not always a bad thing, because you get to look at the scenery. And there's plenty of parking places when you need them. Living up here, you do get to know or spot the danger signs, like parking areas that have got big lots of scenery. Cars suddenly pull over. Going down the 82, if you're going along Loch Ness, take care. It's a very technical road, the 82. Riding it and driving it the amount that I have, I know it very well. But one phenomena you get, which I find pretty unique to that stretch of road as to anywhere else I've been really in the world. You're driving along and there's always, I mean, no matter what time of year, quite a lot of tourist traffic. And they come over a rise and all of a sudden there is Loch Ness and the view laid out in front of them. And they take their foot off the accelerator and can brake to go, wow, look at that! And if you're not ready for it, it can catch you out. And I've seen it catch people out. The 82 is one of the most dangerous roads in the world. Probably because of that. A, it's a very technical road. You get a lot of people driving down it that don't drive down technical roads anymore, they just drive on dual carriageways. And you get a lot of slow drivers. And the encouragement from Scottish Government and police is for people who are driving slowly to pull over and allow traffic to pass. Well, they just don't. You can argue the reasons why till the cows come home. but they don't, or not enough do. So people get frustrated and they try and overtake. Now I know, because I know the road very well, I know where I can do little nippy overtakes. I know where I can do big overtakes. But I also know the ones where you just don't, because there's a dip in the road, or you haven't got the view ahead you might think you've got. But there's a lot of bikes crash on the 82. And the cops always, speed is the factor. And as I say, it's technical. And it can really bite you. I had the fortune really to be learning that road when COVID was quite active, and obviously not during complete lockdowns, but between lockdowns when people weren't travelling as much, the roads were much quieter. I was riding these roads and of course driving them as well, so especially in the car you begin to, I mean, all bikers probably drive cars the same way, looking for the bike lines and beginning to see where the off-camber bends are and trouble spots are. Down that road is a hoot. It handles when there's nothing in front of me, and you might get to see on some of the footage I post later on. When the roads are empty, I'm going to reiterate again, I'm not claiming this bike is a sports bike, but you can have a lot of fun, and you ride it a bit like you ride a cruiser. I am a great believer that pretty much every bike can be fun, and those that just say Harleys are boring or Goldwings are boring or whatever haven't ridden them. And in fact, if you look at a few tests, they surprise people who aren't used to, used to a more sporty or flickable bike. They come on one of these thinking it's going to be purgatory, and then find actually the handling is fine. You have to work with it. It will not do it for you, which I quite like. So it'll hustle along at a good rate of knots, enough that if the boys in blue are out, you can lose your license. The bike is softly suspended. If you put it into sport mode, I think it tightens it up. I'm just riding in tour. Why you ride it like a cruiser, because it is softly sprung, and why you ride it with positive intent, because it does wallow a bit. But as I say, it's a really good slow bike. It's a great fun faster bike. wheelchair on wheels. Probably one of the reasons why when I go out I tend to ride a minimum of 100 miles because it's so comfortable. And in fact, for the, how long have I had this now? 9 months? May. 11 months. Coming up for 11 months. I have actually now got rid of my second bike, my Himalayan, because I just wasn't using it. Whenever I opened the garage up, this is the bike I want to take out. So I think when you're looking at things like fun factor, I tried that Ducati 848 last year. That was supreme. That was great fun. More fun than this will ever be. But, and it's a big but, it's fun for a very short period of time. If you are having to ride in very slow, dense traffic, it's not very nice. It's not nice round town. It's not very comfortable. But it's great fun. Whereas this is great fun and comfortable. It's that more, the benefit of an all-rounder. And these bikes are supreme all-rounders. That's why I'm really enjoying riding bendy, twisty roads. I go down a lot of single lane roads. I have to tell you right now, the wind is battering across me here. The bike is as stable as a ship, and that's down to weight. Cops are out. Whisking off that mountain to my left, right across that flat plain, out across the lock, and giving me a tidy battering while it's doing it. I still love the DCT. And on a day like today where I'm on really good roads and it's the day when you think you need a gearbox, it always seems to be in the right gear. And as I've said, I've run down some, the 82 is a very technical road. As is this one. Lovely, biker's dreams. But it is the sort of road you think having a gearbox and be able to bounce up and down the box. This always seems to be in the right gear. It seems to change down just to the point when I'm about to think, oh, change down. It's uncanny just how good it is. And I have got used to it now, which always helps. And in getting used to it, I've got very confident to let it do its job. And I have to say, if you had a Fireblade fitted with this, you really wouldn't miss having a manual gearbox. because it is that good. The Oyster Inn. It's lovely with the DCT when you're having to just roll along at sort of 1 mile an hour. It does it so well. You're not, on a normal bike with a normal gearbox, you're riding the clutch to do that. And I have ridden in some quite thick traffic down around in Glasgow, and when I've ridden down to England. Around the M25, and rode this through 40 miles of solid M25 traffic. It's a very, very good commuter, much better than it has any right to be. I think that's partly because the panniers are quite narrow at the back, so it's not as wide a bike as you think. In fact, I think it's narrower than my RT. Wouldn't swear to it.